Okay, hi, I'm Nash again. I'm going to show you how to put a plaster bat down. In the first video, when I was throwing the vase bottle, I was talking about how I like to use plaster bats. But one of the problems that many people have is that the bats come off the wheel. So it's really knowing how to secure the bat down and having enough water in the bat. You need to have a good butter knife for removing the bat off the wheel head. When you do that, one side will usually get chewed up, from losing chunks from, digging in and popping the bat off. So keep that in mind, that you want to have one side, good and smooth, and the other side kind of all chipped up. Now again, this bat has both sides. That's because my students get to them and they don't really pay that much attention. Now if a bat is bone dry, it's not going to stick onto the wheel head, and if the bat is really wet, it's not going to stick onto the wheel head. But you have to have some moisture in the bat. Now this bat feels cold, so I know because of that there's moisture in it. I can put my hand on it, I can feel the moisture. So this bat's just right. These bats here are bone dry. So what I do is I run them under the sink, or I'll put them in a bucket with water. I hold it down for 3 to 5 seconds if it's a bone dry bat. I would say closer to 5 seconds. And then that should be enough water in the bat. No matter what size you use, from narrow to even a wide one. I would just use, again, 3 wads of clay, but I would use bigger wads, using a larger, wider bat like this. So now you take a little bit of clay, and you want to put it down in 3 areas, and you're making a triangle. So you're creating an implied shape or an implied line if you're in an art appreciation course, learning about the basic rules of art language. But that is a triangle now, okay? It's an implied line. And that's enough clay, okay? The idea is that I'm going to make a slip out of this, and that's what's going to create the suction. So now I throw the water down, and you see I throw a good chunk of water down there. And then I work the bat back and forth, and then I try to line it up into the center. But the bat doesn't have to be centered. And this is pretty close to being centered, but it could be off. The only thing is that if the bat is off, you see that wobble, you got to really focus your eyes into the center. So it's actually a good practice of meditation, because if you look at this out here, especially if there's a wobble, you're going to get a headache. So just to let you know about that. Now I really don't think I need any more water, but I'll just put a little surface on there. And then I wet the bottom of the clay, so there's a little bit of water, just a smidgen, on the base of the mound of clay I'm going to work with. Work that down, try to put it where center is, but then I'll hit the clay down onto the bat to secure it more. Just kind of like a hand building, kind of hit and pinch process. And then I'm ready to start centering. And when I center, I start with coning, but I'll squeeze and I'll actually push downwards in the beginning to help secure this base part here onto the wheel head. And then I'll start to move into coning. Now when I teach centering, I only talk about 2 centering techniques: the coning and then coming down with the clay with the meat of your thumb muscle on top, thumb over the index finger. And I bring that arm into my body. I'm over the wheel, looking over it. I'm not back here. I'm right over the wheel. And then I'll start to work it down. Then I'll bring in the right hand, help out the fingers over to the left, because it's my fingers that are going to level this part here out. You don't want it to move into a mushroom. If it moves in too much of a mushroom shape, then you'll trap air, and then you're going to have a problem there. Now the other ways, the other centering hand techniques would be coming in with your knuckles. That's a good way to help bring it into center. And even though I teach beginners to keep this hand up, if you drop it down, then that is a centering technique too. So those are really your 4 centering techniques. And then also, if you're going to spread it out, you use your right hand to move the mound down. I always move towards 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock if you're throwing right-handed. And then this is how you center the clay. And now I'm ready to open. Okay, so that's putting down a bat and then securing the clay onto the bat. That's it. Oh, and then taking the bat off. Okay, let's say I finished the pot. So I'll just clean up this mound. let's say I made a nice big heavy paper weight. Now if this was a finished pot, this is the end that I do with the wooden tool. Again, you should hold the wooden tool so this diagonal is away. And then I would come with the needle tool, come underneath my pot. It allows air to get underneath, so then the pot will pop right off of the plaster bat without any problem. You don't have to run a wire underneath. And then to remove the bat, just use your butter knife, work underneath, and kind of go underneath and kind of give a little twist, and then work the bat under, and that's how the bat comes off. Okay? That's it.